Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be on this very exciting broadcast, one of our first that we're doing with the Beanstalk series. We've come to a conclusion that in these uncertain times that we're in, a lot of us are not going to be able to attend conferences, shows, exhibitions, events, because of all the COVID restrictions. And so a lot of companies have already started to, here comes that buzz term, pivot in the respect of trying to get things set up on a virtual basis. And we've seen some great examples, the likes of the United States. We've seen United Fresh already have one of their major events held on a virtual basis. And we've also in the UK got FPJ, the Fresh Produce Journal, having their live event in October. So it's great that we've got something that's fulfilling that gap, but we want to do more. We want to tell more and discuss more within the fresh produce sectors. So hence why we set up a broadcast series for a number of key industry areas. We're really proud, really privileged to start our first one with an unbelievable organization called Global Women Fresh. Now, we wanted to find out more about them, and we didn't want to stutter their growth by them not being able to attend events in the proper world. We wanted to set up a broadcast series so we could find out more about them, how they started and what their success looks like in the respect of getting more women into the global fresh produce sectors. So let's get the three founders in to speak to us so we can find out more about Global Women Fresh. Ladies, could you join me, please? Fantastic. And here we've got Julie from the States, we've got Monica from Australia, we've got Vivian from Chile. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get them to introduce themselves in a little bit. But when I was setting up this broadcast for Beanstalk and Global Women Fresh, I was wondering how I was going to formally introduce it. And with all the social media that we put out, one of my contacts, a really interesting guy called Richard Isaacs, he's the Chief Commercial Officer for an amazing cherry business called Global Fruit, based out of Canada. He actually put on one of the postings this morning, UK time. He stated, "It is hard to believe and even harder to comprehend why in 2020 so few senior business leaders are women. In our industry and most others, this is something that has to change fast if we're going to rebuild the global economy in a way that provides food and consumables for all of the people on the planet today without screwing it up beyond repair for future generations. We're currently chomping through Earth's natural resources at 1.5 times the rate we can be replenished. And anyone who thinks we would be in this state if women had been making the decisions for the last 150 years are kidding themselves!" Exclamation mark. "Sorry guys," he says, "maybe it's not easy to admit, but the truth is, in general, women will make far better decisions when it comes to the sustainable business development for the planet and for the people working in every part of the supply chain. Hats off to all the female leaders, Julie, Vivian, Monica, for taking action, and for Max and Beanstalk for hosting the platform." So thank you for Richard. I thought that's a great way to start, to get an independent view of someone who didn't actually know too much about Global Women Fresh and what the purpose of it is. So let's find out from these amazing ladies what the purpose of Global Women Fresh is and how we, Beanstalk, can help. So Julie, let's start off with you. Who are you, please, and where are you? And then we'll rattle around everyone else. Julie, you go first, please.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Max, for the opportunity to be here. As you said, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for all the audience. My name is Julie Escobar. I'm one of the co-founders of Global Women Fresh. Our mission is really to inspire, connect, and empower women in the ag business. 2 years ago, when we started it with this project, we really saw the need of creating a global platform to really bring women together from all the different countries. There was definitely a few countries like the US and potentially UK who have done definitely groups of putting women together, but there was not really a global discussion, and that's ultimately where we saw the opportunity of co-founding Global Women Fresh.
Fantastic. Monica, please tell us who you are and where you are.
Thank you, Max. My name is Monica Bratuti, and one of the co-founders of Global Women Fresh. As Julie said, we are a group of women that have been in business for years and understanding the global trading business of fruits and vegetables and who is behind the real powerful decisions of where the food goes to, where it comes from, and how it is traded and how it's distributed and marketed. We realize, there's not a lot of participation from women on the top discussions in the world, and we just thought they need to fill that gap and bring women to the conversation where the conversation takes place. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, so greetings to everyone from here, and yeah, that's from my side, Max.
Fantastic. Vivian.
Hi, Max. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Well, I'm Viviane Schappo, and I've been working in the ag business for almost 15 years now. Lived in multiple countries, developing global business, Brazil, United States, and now in Chile. So I'm very excited to be here today. And the project of Global Women Fresh started 2 years ago and was mainly part of a discussion that Julie, Moni, and we've been having in the past, I would say 5 years,
wow,
when we would meet each other in global trade shows, either in Asia or Berlin, United States. And we saw that there was a big need for us to help to empower several women that were in our industry. And in many times we've seen ourselves as being the only women sitting on the room, and even sometimes traveling around the world on these trade shows. So it's really about how can we empower, how can we connect, how can we start a discussion that is going to really make a difference from a global perspective to the women in the ag sector.
Vivian, well done. And Julie, if it's okay, I'm just going to plagiarize some of the words that you presented to me when we first started to set this up. When I asked Julie as to what does success look like, she came out straight out of the barrel with this expression: we want to rock the boat and bring something new and really exciting to this industry. And again, it's fascinating what Vivian was saying. If you think about it, especially from a male perspective, you go to all these trade shows and they are very, we have the UK expression grey and stale, and there's such an opportunity, especially with everything that we're going through in the respect of COVID. The sector that we're in of fresh food can literally save lives, and we can get more and more people involved with it, and more opportunities can be created. And why can there not be more and more opportunities for women to get involved within fresh produce, the fresh sector, because of the benefit that it's going to do? And the other elements that Julie also and Julie also discussed is what does success look like for Global Women Fresh and our little part of Beanstalk as to what we can give to you all. And one thing that we are really keen to do, and we're just going to wave this flag constantly for you, is we want to get more people signed up to the Global Women Fresh database. So currently, guys, how many people how many members have you got signed up already to Global Women Fresh?
Yes. Yeah. So the numbers definitely are the ones that make the difference in this global discussion. So we have about 500 members already subscribed to our platform. And I think that this is the invitation for whoever is listening to this podcast and this video is we're making a really extra effort to bring content that matter, right? So it's bringing content that matter at a global scale. It can be definitely very challenging, right? Whatever happens in the US is very different to Europe, to Asia, to Latin America. But with strategically located between Vivi being Brazilian and living in Chile and managing Latin America, Moni living in Australia but being Mexican and traveling and doing business with Southeast Asia and Asia and other countries, and myself here in the US and doing business globally. I think that that's really what gives us the opportunity to connect to all of this global audience. As you said, I mean, our goal is that by the end of the year, we can really show our global audience and our global industry that we have at least a minimum of 1,000 members in our platform. Wow. And then once again, I mean, continue to work very strategically on bringing the right speakers to our platform, the right webinars, the right partnerships and strategic alliances is really where we focus a lot of our time.
And if anything, Julie, that's desire to have 1,000 members. To me, that sounds quite shy. You think of what does anyone know? I think the global turnover of the fresh produce sector is something like 350 billion US. It's such a huge sector, and to ask just 1,000 members, I'm going to push the ball out. I think you should be looking near 10,000 members by the end of 2021. What do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's part of the discussion of once we appreciate being here and what we continue to work together with, within our own inside with our own co-founders and with our global advisory boards. And also, really being super intentional on delivering the message to each of these produce companies. I think that one of the challenges that we face internally globally within the audience is that, the difference of women not wanting to be part of a feminist group. And I think that this is part of the discussions that it's incredibly, sometimes it's very hard to have with our own women. And ultimately too, why when we started this whole thing 2 years ago, we were mostly focused on just, we thought, okay, this is going to be more for executive women, top director managers, and an opportunity to really come together. But as we continue to get deeper into the discussion, we really understand that it was an opportunity to bring women in the entire supply chain. Why are we not talking to the women that work at the farm level, at the packing house, at the offices, the entire deal? Because that's really when you're capable of developing economic advance for all of these women. I would tell you that women, this is a call out that women have to get on the wagon. I mean, they have to get on the bus and they have to become active. We're not a feminist group. We are a very, we invite males to be part of this discussion as well. We believe that this is a male-driven discussion. And unless both groups of the equation are being able to be part of the discussion and be wanting to be part of the solution, then we're really not going to be seeing huge advancements. And you're right. I mean, if you look at Melinda Gates, I mean, the amount of work that she's done, she said it's going to take us 200 years to achieve gender equality. And I think that that's exactly what we stand for. This group here of these three co-founders, we stand for it cannot take 200 years. We have to do a better job. And absolutely, I mean, if you think about it, 80-90% of the shoppers of the world are women. We are the ones that go to the store. We choose how we feed our families, our kids, and so on. So I think that we are the ones that needs to have a little bit of a stronger presence in that room. But how do we do it, and how do we bring those tools and that empowerment to women? It's ultimately the key here.
Okay, and I don't know if you've just seen that on the Q&A, you've got a new member who's just signed up. Catherine Pintel has very kindly signed up. So if you're watching this and you want to find out more whilst we're talking, or if you're listening to the podcast or the pre-record, go to globalwomenfresh.com and you'll be able to sign up there and find more information. So I have a marketing expression of why care and share. Why should a parent, be they a mum or a dad, in a school playground, why should they go up to one of their friends and say, have you heard this? Have you heard that? Have you heard this about Global Women Fresh? You must sign up. You must get your colleagues to sign up. So are we saying that it would be a great endorsement that people who do see the positivity of being signed up to Global Women Fresh, they should be going into their workplace from top to bottom and say, just have a look at this website, find out more. Vivian, what do you think? Do you think we should be putting out this halcyon call across all of the workforce like Julie recommended?
For sure. I think we should spread the word out there. And one of the benefits of this global platform is that it's really designed in order to connect people from the different parts of the supply chain. So we have members of the organization who are based in Africa, who are based in Asia, in India, in Latin America. So that brings inclusion and also diversity to the table. As Julie mentioned before, it's not about people at the office level. It's not about at the executive level. It's about bringing together all the supply chain. And besides the fact that 80% of the consumers are women, also the majority of people who are working with agriculture, who are actually at the pack houses facilities and working throughout the supply chain, are women as well. So we really want to connect everyone, and therefore we need to spread the word out there.
Fantastic. Well done. Monica, what's the benefit? what's the benefit of someone signing up to Global Women Fresh and joining you and joining this housing call? What is going to be the benefit to them, please?
Well, I believe, Max, it's not just one benefit, several benefits that we as people in the industry get from it. And even people out of the industry can get benefit from joining an organization like the one that we are building together. But first of all, I would say normalize that women can be participants in any level of the equations when it comes to the distribution of foods, in the world. When young girls, when new generations are normalizing that they can do it, that they can access to any part of the ladder, in the industry, that is a benefit for the new generations coming behind us. Also, the benefit from the business perspective is it has been proven that when you bring inclusion and diversity to the business tend to be more profitable and more, because they pretty much keep, diversity included in their agenda. And it's all related. It's business smart to bring diversity to the equation when you want to look at it from the point of view of just business minded, right? But at the end of the day, when you have the world, the whole humanity united for one purpose, and sharing the power and sharing the decision making of such a basic need of humans, which is food, and especially in difficult times like now, it is important that we all work together towards the good benefit of humans, and we're seeing this in these critical times that we're facing right now, right? And I guess on any level, people can get the benefit from joining a platform that is just promoting inclusion and diversity in our businesses and industry.
Yeah, and Max, if I may add to that, so a couple of more strategic things that we've done in the last couple of months here is, so one of the things is we've been able to partner with a couple of recruiting companies, global recruiting companies. Two incredible individuals have been able to donate their time. So we have now a quarterly report, empowerment guide, that comes from recruiting agencies that have had 25-year plus experience in the world of recruiting. So how do we give the tools to these women? How do they look for their next job? We also partner with Michelle Redfern, who is an incredible Australian speaker. She's also offered us pro bono 4 webinars in how to really create a career that soars. So we started at our first webinar last week or 2 weeks ago, and then we have a few more in the next couple of 6 months, which will provide all the information, and that information is on the website. And also we are really strategically creating partnerships with 4 of the major trade shows in the industry, that being Asia for Logistica Berlin, PMA, and United Fresh. So the goal there, very intentional, is to say, when you come to Global Women Fresh, you are connecting truly with a global platform of 6,000-10,000 women in the industry that, regardless of where you are going to have an opportunity to be introduced to someone, connected to someone in any part of the world. Just to add that.
And guys, what I find fascinating is when I get asked to describe the food supply chain, I always look at it as farming, agriculture, and then fresh produce, and then, as we say, FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, and then retail. If you look at some of the organisations already set up in the farming sector for women, they're very advanced. They're 10, 15 years old, and they're actually trade organisations in themselves. And agriculture is sophisticated, but I've always seen fresh produce is more sophisticated because of the globalization of it. And in some respects, that's what makes this even a bit more shocking, that there hasn't been such an organization such as Global Women Fresh set up before. So the reason for saying that is you look at the success that's happened within the farming groups supporting women, within fresh produce. I think the likelihood of success for you all is going to be fantastic. Even to the point of you will have such a significant trade organization in years to come. And why wouldn't people want to support you, especially with that raison d'etre that you've started off with, which is fantastic. Of you're not just looking at executive levels. You don't want just what's expression ladies in suits. You want everyone from that pack house in Kenya to a young student working on a farm in the UK to someone picking flowers in Australia. You want the whole remit involved. And again, that's why I think it's so exciting. How are you going to fund this? Vivian, how are you going to fund this, please?
Yes, Max, that's a very interesting challenge. So up to now, the way we've been funding this was really focusing on event-based sponsorship. So as we would partner up with the entities that Julie mentioned before, 5-6 trade shows around the globe, we will then design a sponsorship package, to talk to companies and organizations and also individuals who would like to contribute, and then really do that in an event-based or focused way. Now we change this pattern, so we're going to have 2 venues for companies to be able to invest more in Global Women Fresh. One will be event-based sponsorship, such as for the trade shows we're going to participate or events that we will hold globally. And the other one would be a lot more focused on a long-term partnership where companies, they can become an investor into a project or into this idea. So then it really comes to the fact that let's sit down, let's talk, and let's understand all the different projects we are working on and how we can then partner together to make an even larger impact.
Wow, guys, I'm getting more excited by this, but the more I hear. So you want more members. So everyone look at the Global Women Fresh website, and you want more corporate businesses to be involved with you. Vivian, is there a type of remit that you would ideally be looking for? Are these companies, are these groups to be involved within fresh produce, or would you throw it out further to machinery companies, consultancy companies? Julie mentioned earlier about recruitment companies. What are your thoughts, please, Vivian?
Yeah, so we're partnering up with companies that belong to the whole supply chain. So we're talking to consulting companies, recruiting companies, large global corporations that trade fruit and vegetables. We really want to invite everyone because diversity and also gender equality brings profit to the businesses. And that's something that's much needed in our industry today.
Yeah. Why would you not want to get involved with yourselves on that basis? So Monica, if let's get down to some finer detail. If a company looks to come to you to be involved with you, what sort of projects could they be presented, or could they actually come to you with potential projects that they think could use your expertise and your branding to be successful for them? Are we talking about stickers on apples, or are we talking about projects to empower women in East Africa? Help me, please.
Yeah, well, I guess projects, of course. I mean, we have aligned several projects that companies can get benefit from. For instance, we have realized that there's a lot of data missing in the industry. How do we capture the information to understand the complexities of what women face in our industry? And when I mean complexity, it could be positive or negative complexities, right? But so we have decided to go ahead and organize capturing this data through global surveys that we are organizing. This data is intelligence that we're making available for companies that want to find tools to solve situations in their companies. I mean, we have had cases where leaders of companies come to us and said, I want to fix this gender equality situation in my company. We just don't know where to start. We don't even know how to even measure. Are we doing a good job? Are we failing to do this? Or what's... Sometimes people don't even know where to start. They want to, but they don't know how to. And that's why we're just, for instance, we're bringing the data and intelligence through global surveys to make this information available so we can understand what are the most important issues that we as an organization should target. And then just to give you an example, I mean, we have been approached to talk about homeschooling, you know, how two professional parents, mom and dad, at work, but now they have found themselves working at home, and kids being now also at home, and who is, for the vast majority of the time, which of the parent is actually dedicating more time to having the home, you know, the homeschooling with the kids. And I have had you know, someone from the industry telling me, you know what, Monica, even my kids in their mind, when they see daddy on the phone talking on a business call, they do understand that daddy is having an important call, so they do not interrupt. But when they see mommy talking on the phone, they have kind of like this, wow, you know, they go after mom because they don't take that mom is having an important of it. That data for me is impressive to believe, but it's happening. So, and from the side of management, how can managers or directors or business owners can target situations like having, you know, the females being more dedicated these days in COVID times, you know, dedicating more time to their kids rather than actually performing or putting their focus on performance, for example. Just one of the examples. There's several. And of course, companies can bring their projects and their, you know, their inquiries to the table, and we can discuss this and find solutions. There's a lot of information we don't know. That's why we need platforms and conversations like the one that we're having right now to bring more food to the table, basically.
Monica, well done. And again, it's a really good point that we've seen a big drive towards sustainability within the fresh sectors. I don't know, and excuse my naivety for this question, is there an element in there about gender equality? Because there needs to be. Is there an element of sustainability in that demand for fresh produce for fresh companies? Julie?
Yes and no, Max. I think that when you really talk sustainability in kind of in the global scale, companies are really more focusing on, in the vast majority of the companies that I speak on a daily basis, they're really more talking about, you know, packaging, you know, what can they do different at the packing level to transform and create sustainability. And there is a few companies, I would say probably the largest companies, the global companies, who are looking at gender equality as part of their sustainability package. But it's still kind of in an early stages, which is one, it's really good and refreshing and empowering. But at the same time, we go kind of back to the same discussion. I mean, why are we not talking more about it? So I think that that's ultimately the big invitation. The big invitation is to say, as Monica said it, the global data component is a very big piece of what we did. We rolled out our first global survey last year in Berlin. And really, quite honestly, the data that we throw out there was fascinating. So being able to bring real facts to the industry, it's a very big component to it. And then after we go after the components, the second big initiative that we also have is, how do we start then giving the spotlight to all of these women and companies who are actually doing something good for the gender equality discussion? So one of the things that we're planning for as a big initiative for 2021 is, how do we create some sort of a Women Companies Award? And then the goal there is not necessarily to create or give shame to other companies, but the fact is how other companies can get once again in the bus and can ultimately follow and really follow and see what other companies are doing and kind of get into the same train of thought.
Julie, well done. And a great contact of ours from the UK, Naomi Pemberton from the AMC group. She's just typed in gender equality, pay gap, parental rights, etc. forms part of many sustainable strategies in line with SDGs. If they don't, boards are missing the point and the opportunity. So again, it looks like you're in front of the curve. All totally. Of you just highlighting this, but it needs to be highlighted. And again, that's a real good flag. Poster for yourselves to get even more traction. So just to make sure I'm clear on this. So a large company, whether they be UK, European, or internationally based, they will potentially be able to come to you to find out how they can structure the gender structure correctly in their business for the long term. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So we want to be the number one platform for those companies to come, and once again, and it's for us to be able to provide the real data, to become the platform and where women can actually connect, and then from there, the sky is the limit, as Vivi mentioned, right? Like, so what does the company need?
Wow.
Do we need to create some sort of a liaison, strategic partnership, and where we can bring either, once again, global speakers like Michelle Redfern. I mean, 25 plus years of experience working with this kind of issues, guiding and coaching companies and individuals on how to get to the next level. Or is it by, working with other recruiting companies around the world? And also, it's also a very big project that is very dear to our heart. It's as we mentioned before in a lot of our social media communication, it's the work that we do with United Nations. As we've mentioned before, they have a project that by 2021 they want to empower more than 3 million women, mostly in underdeveloped economies. And I think that for us specifically, and I speak in the name of our co-founders, it has been incredibly gratifying because, an hour of our business day, an hour of coaching from us to them has driven an incredible economic impact to women who work in Kenya, in Ghana, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Tanzania. So what we did this past quarter was be able to connect with our global advisory board, and we were able to provide 6 different webinars on finance, global marketing, global logistics, leadership, strategy. And then the project was so well accepted and the content of these webinars were so incredibly good that even UN decided to extend the invitation of the webinars to other industries within their group of business. So the webinars were extended to the textile industry, to technology, to tourism, and so on. So once again, I mean, I think that if we all figure it out a way in this world that, hey, we are all part of a solution, and it doesn't matter how small or big, the donation is, I think that it ultimately becomes part of a bigger discussion, and we become part of a bigger solution.
Julie, well done. And just to inform people, if you've just dialed in, if you're listening on YouTube or on a podcast, this is a Beanstalk broadcast with myself, Max MacGillivray, and these amazing ladies from Global Women Fresh, Julie, Monica, and Vivian, in the start of a broadcast series that we're running for them. Everyone, have you set this up? Are we collectively doing a big push for Global Women Fresh in the wrong time? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Monica was just telling us the issues that she's got in Melbourne with virtually a full lockdown for the foreseeable future because of a rise in cases there. Within the UK, we're seeing some retailers, and obviously we won't mention them, who've looked to park various sustainability projects because they've got to focus on the day-to-day, in effect, to survive. Are people going to be interested in Global Women Fresh today when they've perhaps got other things to worry about? Vivian, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because when we analyze, we think the time is now. With the COVID and all these challenges, all our inefficiencies, all our challenges in the industry, they just become more apparent and more urgent. So there is a big push in the resources, in the people, in how people are organized, how people are working. So a lot of things that before had been pushed aside, they suddenly come to the surface and they need to be addressed. As Monica was saying, like there was a lot of challenges for women, to be able to work and have a good balance between work life and family life. Now that everyone is working at home, including men, all these issues, they become part of the globe's issue, right? So everyone is facing that. And then that brings to surface, that this is an immediate thing that companies need to work on. So in the end of the day, this pandemic only speed up the conversation and the dialogue. And this is why we believe the time is now. And even with, when you talk to companies, you talk to people, there is an immediate need for that conversation to happen if it hadn't happened already. So it's very exciting for us to see that increase in the interest from multiple people.
Monica, you can't surely agree with Vivian, can you?
Can you tell, Max? Yeah, I mean, it's one of the subjects that came to our attention right away, and as China being the first country that went into these measurements due to COVID, the statistics on domestic violence, that came up from the whole period of staying at home, and that spread out across the world. That there you have it, another subject, and it's just one of many more that we're still discovering as we do the work of the different projects that we had. I think I agree with Vivi. I mean, it is the perfect time. It is a perfect time to really make it more noticeable that we needed to target some issues that were probably hiding under the surface, but now with the situation as drastic as we're facing it right now, they're even more, evident to the eyes of our society across any industry, really.
Julie, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that to add to Monica's point on the domestic violence, we were recently, about 4 or 5 months, we were approached by another non-for-profit here in the US called Global Rights for Women. And basically they're a group of international lawyers who work globally to fight domestic violence. Indeed, the numbers of domestic violence are incredibly high. Even the United Nations has called it out as a kind of a global emergency. So one of the things that we did was also partner with this organization to be able to bring webinars to the industry. And one of the things that we noticed after that webinar was that companies today don't necessarily have nothing in place to facilitate the discussion of domestic violence or to provide tools to the employees and, how can they navigate that world. So I think that that's another incredibly initiative that we have working with Global Rights for Women. Today, we have to be incredibly respectful of every single culture because every single culture looks at domestic violence very different. But we are now partnering, for example, in India with Fresh Express, which is one of the largest grape companies in India. And Nina Patil, which is part of our global advisory board and the director of Fresh Express, is incredibly supportive and engaged with all of this initiatives around empowering women. And she has personally taken the lead of training about 20 women of her group of managers. And we have created this partnership with a local agency that fights domestic violence. So now we're training these women so we can now go and train 300, 400, 500 women about domestic violence. What are the tools that they have in country if something happens? How do they go and call an 800 number or a hotline number and where they can, denounce and do something about this? So it's not always talking about the problem, but it's also providing a solution to it. And ultimately, I think that that's how we need to continue to push the industry to say, we understand that you may not have all of the solutions for all of the things that were tackled today in this complex world. But how do we give priority to the ones that are a lot more important than others? And I definitely think that this domestic violence is indeed one of the worst consequences of the pandemic.
Well done. And just a retort on my slightly aggressive question to Vivian, as to is this the right time? When we did a webinar a couple of months ago with some South African suppliers and retailers, there's an amazing lady there, Liz from Pick and Pay, and she came up with a phrase that I've just used day in, day out: never waste a crisis. Never waste a crisis. So we're in this new norm, and I've got a frustration that in the UK lockdown, we were about 2 months in, and there was a very well worded letter from it. It was a Naomi might remember better than I, because I think she might have posted it up. There was a letter that came out from about 100 business leaders within the UK to the government, an open letter stating that under this new conditions, when we rebuild the UK and Europe, we're in such a fantastic position to look at the environment, look at culture, and so on and so forth. The one thing that they didn't mention in there was look at health, look at obesity. There's one thing that we've got to highlight, guys, is that to me the cure for the obesity crisis globally is simple. It's just do more exercise and eat more fresh produce. So the sector that we're all involved in is life changing. So my frustration with that letter was that they didn't have any industry leaders, especially any women from the fresh produce sector, saying, and we need to promote the fresh produce sectors more, because people eating more fresh produce, you're guaranteed a longer life. You're guaranteed less of a stay within hospital, as they say in the UK. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So just to reinforce that with all of you, I know you will, because it's really difficult with the messaging, that the sector that you're in, you're not selling mobile phones, you're not selling cars, you're selling fresh produce. You grow sunshine. So we've got to applaud that, and we've got to promote that, so that people are fully aware, so that in this new norm, that you can make a difference to women globally, and you can make a difference to the population globally by getting people to consume more fresh produce. I'll get off my little chair, because I always just want to keep on about that, so we get more people consuming fresh produce. Julie, if that's okay.
But Max, this is the fun part of being a partner with our co-founders here. So when you look at Vivi and the company that she represents on a full-time basis, because that's the other reality. The three of us have full-time jobs, but fighting, food waste, right? I mean, obviously, Vivi, you can speak better than anyone, but that concept of fighting food waste and how obesity has an incredible component to it. So I think that's how we can all be part of the solution and be integrated into a bigger global discussion.
Yeah, and just within the UK, what's the stat? We throw 1 million bananas away in the United Kingdom every day. How ridiculous is that? You think of the amount of time and effort that's gone into growing those amazing things, and we throw those away, when actually if a kid is eating bananas rather than drinking a can of energy drink, the benefit that would do for them on the long term, eating bananas rather than sugary stuff, would be far beneficial. So guys, as we're sort of wrapping up on this broadcast series, I'm really excited that we're going to be doing 2 or 3. We're going to be doing one a month, and we've got some amazing speakers coming up, which we'll highlight on our social media. But I think today's been a great initial grounding for all of us and our network to find out more about Global Women Fresh. I've been involved with Julie now for 2-3 months as we got this initially set up, but there's some things today that I did not know about, which I think is fascinating. So guys, just to get a better understanding, and let me just use this phrase that we used earlier today as to what does success look like. So guys, what would you like to see Global Women Fresh achieving and let's throw this out some way, 3-5 years down the line. So Vivian, let's start with you. What would you like to see Global Women Fresh achieving 5 years down the line, please?
Yes, thanks for the question, Max. So really for me is, when I think about 5 years from now, it's one, global impact. So we want to be the organization that represents women globally in the ag sector that is making the most impact. So we want to make sure we can grow our partnerships with the UN and other several companies that we're working with in order to make these projects way larger than what they are today. And really have people from the network able to tell their story. How did they get to know Global Women Fresh? What is the difference that it made for them? And also how they could also make a difference and then share their own stories. We really want to be powerful for women and also making that difference not only in the executive level or in the developed countries. Our focus will be a lot more towards the developing economies and also the underdeveloped countries.
Wow. Monica, what does success look like for Global Women Fresh 5 years out, please?
Max, for me, success will be when there's no longer a need for such an organization like us. And I mean this in good way. I mean, we built this organization was because we felt and we recognized and we identified that there was a disadvantage for women in our industry. So when we can get to the level where we said, you know, we have made a difference in the life of women that are in our industry, and the companies know, and they're very well aware that they do have a resourceful organization that has done their job to put together tools for them to resolve all this gender inequality in their organizations, and therefore it enters in conflict with profitability or happiness, you know, in the organizations. I think when all the companies, you know, in our industry are well aware that they can utilize the tools that we're providing for them to make the organization more equal and more diversified, is when I think, for me, success will be for the organization.
And Monica, just as a side, this partnership that you're looking for, would you like to see your logo on the majority of fresh produce companies' websites, marketing, literature, even collectively on labels?
Well, ideas around that idea has come to our side, but I think, Max, yes, this is a possibility. Definitely, it's out there, and if it does. And if it does the job of awareness and what's the mission behind that logo in every single fruit, absolutely. These are some regional initiatives that relate to the subject that you're bringing. I know of an organization in Dominican Republic that came up with this, logo, which says "We are fam" or something like that, and they stick it to the bananas, and to create awareness of empowering women in the farm level. Absolutely. I mean, if we manage to put together the mission across the world, and that would make a difference in the consumer, from the consumer point of view as well, so consumers are well aware that they're actually buying that fruit, and they're supporting a whole institution that empowers the humanity. Absolutely, why not?
And that would be very exciting 5 years out for the consumer globally to know that if they're buying a piece of amazing fresh produce from any of you, that actually supporting the initiative Global Women Fresh and empowering women and the likes of the projects in East Africa that we talked about. That would be amazing. Julie, come on, what's your vision for 5 years out, please?
Yes, Max. I think on my side, I think there's three things that I see very strategically. It's really being able to present massive numbers to the global audience, having at least a minimum of 10,000 members into the organization, which once again, it's easier said than done. The second thing is really become a financial independent company where we can be able to manage it. As we mentioned today, all of the funding today, it's done from the three of us and from some sponsorship packages that we have, but we have to become independent financially. That's a number one thing, or a second thing. And then the other thing that is also very important for me, it's bringing financial education to women. So I think that one of the things that we learned out of our last webinar with Michelle Redfern is this stigma about women not necessarily being good with numbers and finance and so on. So being able to kind of continue to bring finance education and provide the tools and create strategic partnerships with either, the big financial organizations of the world, whether it is Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, Ellevez, you name it. But changing the stigma, because I also think that when you bring money, empowered, and financial education to women, also women are going to be they're going to be able and capable to make better decisions. And ultimately, that education turns into, political and government change, right? I mean, when you think about it, there are still some countries in the world, in India, in Africa, and where still women cannot have a bank account, right? So I think that ultimately it's part of this whole very difficult and challenging discussion. If you don't have economic power, it is very difficult to get out of an abusive environment. If you're in an abusive environment, you're kind of in this kind of a circular economy. So how do we provide those tools to those women? And once again, just it's not just the numbers of bringing 10,000 women together. It is really understanding the complexities, and how do we apply the constant change of society, right? As you said, this year it's been COVID and the pandemic, but in the next 2 to 3 years is technology and artificial intelligence, and how does that affect our industry, and how does that affect women, and how do we make sure that those women who today have a job in a packing house may be that in 5 years may not have a job? So how do we make sure that we continue to educate and empower through finance and really and things that matter, so they can have more development within their lives in the next 5 to 10, 15 years.
Well done. Well done. I've just received a text from a contact who's asked me not to name them, but she was very, very interested to dial in, and she's been involved within the fresh sector internationally for the last 20 years. And she was very reticent to actually dial into this broadcast, because her view was that this is just going to be a talking shop. It's another group of fusty old women, her words, not mine, looking to talk about their issues within the sector. Max, I've been completely amazed at the passion of the 3 ladies from America, from Chile, from Australia. I have signed up on their website. I want to be part of their mission. I want to be like them. I want to make a difference. Well done.
Awesome.
So I think what we need to do is, it's all about communication. I think the 3 of you are just fantastic, but this word has got to get out even more so. So my final question from you, and I don't want you to be shy, any 3 of you, in how you respond to this. What do you want? What do you want to make Global Women Fresh a success? Vivian, let's start with you, please.
Hi. So I want participation from everyone. I want ownership from every single individual who becomes a member, and also ownership from the companies who we are going to partner up with. And I want impact. This is what I want to see.
Done. Monica, what do you want to make this a success?
What do I want? I will have to second Vivi is participation. If this message goes to any woman that is listening or man that is listening, making even the smallest participation, even signing up for our platform, or talking to someone about this organization, because at the end of the day, Max, 3 co-founders are not going to resolve this. If we don't work together on the, at any level of the society, the government, the companies, the private sector, and on an individual level, there's no way we can accomplish the mission. So any participation, even reaching out to us in any of the channels that we have available for everyone, talking to their friends. So just talking about it will create awareness, and therefore will create solutions and bringing new subjects to our table. And I would be super privileged to have top-level board of advisors, and each of them have contributed enormously with their experience and the network and their power to really make a difference in this for women in the industry. So this kind of participation and passion to make a difference and make this world a better world is what I would love to get from everyone.
Julie, what do you want to make Global Women Fresh a success?
So echo Monica's comments and Vivi's comments. I want the women in the industry to kind of get on the game to rock the boat. That's kind of my phrase, and don't be afraid to rock the boat. I mean, we're here to have a very open dialogue. Reach out to us. I'm literally available 24/7 on this deal. Very, very committed and very intentional. So either communicate or connect through the email or through the platforms. And we do want to hear from you all, because this is the one opportunity that we have to bring the two worlds together, Global Women Fresh and the private sector. And then, and hopefully between the 2 of us, be able to really figure it out a better solution for women in the industry.
So we, Beanstalk, little old Beanstalk, we're doing our part, but it'd be great if you're a corporate business or even a medium-sized business, if you've got women in your business, whether you be UK, Europe, globally, sign up to Global Women Fresh. If you're a corporate business and you want to have, come, you're not going to be going to many shows and events. You've got a huge marketing budget that you've just saved. pour it into these girls, into these ladies, and make a difference now for the fresh produce sector and for gender equality within the sector on an ongoing basis. Next month, we've got really excited about this. We've got United Fresh from the States involved with the Global Women Fresh and Beanstalk broadcast. We'll send out more details on that. But I think this first broadcast has been so inspiring to get these ladies from the USA, Australia, Chile all together. I initially thought you'd gone too big. That's just to go for this global element of it. But actually, I think your thinking is so spot on, that you're creating a movement that needs to be created for all the reasons that we said, that the difference that you're going to make is going to be so significant. It's going to be so exciting. And if we could help a little bit in part of your journey to make this success 5 years down, we'd love to be a part of it. So Julie, Vivian, Monica, thank you very much for your time today. Keep safe. Everyone sign up to Global Women Fresh. If you just put Global Women Fresh into Google, you'll see their website, and sign up to the social media. It's very, very professional and very, very worthwhile getting involved with. Everyone, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Max. We appreciate the time. Have a great one.
Keep safe.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Bye, 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 bye.
Bye-bye.